Welcome back to another episode of the Retriever Handler Podcast. I'm Bethany Keebler.
Jordan Keebler.
Welcome to episode number
I think it's 13.
13.
Little walking. There we go. Yeah, I think it's 13. I know I'm gonna hear shit for that, but
Yeah, everybody gets mad at you because you don't know what episode it is.
yeah.
We're just flying by the seat of our pants here with this podcast.
Yes, we are.
How was your work trip to Minnesota?
Good. Had a really good time. Ducks and geese everywhere. You know how like robins will fly over the highway here? I mean, just like a normal bird will like just fly over the highway. Well, there it's ducks.
How many ducks do you think you saw?
Well, I think a lot of the ducks I were seeing near my hotel were just the same ducks over and over again, but
Like local ducks?
yeah, I mean, but still that was cool because we have a pond, really big pond up by our house that the lady won't let us train our dogs in.
We're
and
so
there's-
cheap.
And there's always ducks flying to and from there, so we are pretty spoiled with that. But yeah, there it was cool. But just work wise, it was good. Learned a lot.
Met a lot of new people. You go back in August, right?
Yeah, August, the week of a hunt test. So I think the week before a hunt test.
No,
No,
the week after a hunt.
yeah.
No. Sorry.
Saturday and Sunday is the hunt test. I leave Sunday.
Yeah.
But so I think I'm only going to be able to do Saturday, depending on when my flight is on Sunday.
You should get better flights this time.
Yeah.
Your flights were horrible. You left
6 a.m. flight.
Yeah, you left at 6 a.m. on Sunday for a work trip that started on Monday. So that sucks. So you had like a whole day. You literally did nothing on Sunday. And then on Friday, you didn't get back until midnight.
No, I got back at 2.
Well,
Or 1.
your flight landed at midnight.
Yeah.
And you didn't get back to our house until like 1:30.
Yeah, 1:30, yeah. Yeah, I was
Sucked.
Yeah.
So maybe let's try to find some better flights this time.
It was direct on the way there, so I couldn't complain. But I landed at Minnesota at 8 a.m. because of the time change. So I was like, now what do I do? Because I couldn't check into my hotel. So
Yeah.
funny enough, I went to this park and just sat there, and I was engulfed in the middle of a dog training class. And they were all German Shepherds. I think it was
right.
Yeah, I think it was you had to have a German Shepherd, which was like kind of weird. It's kind of
German Shepherd training class.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it was like introductory canine training.
No,
No,
definitely not. But that was cool to see. I offered to, I was like, well, if you need some help training. No, I didn't do anything. Yeah, I just sat back and watched.
Don't do that.
Bethany, break us down.
Okay.
What we got?
Yeah, so we have t-shirts in and for sale on our website, retrieverhandler.com.
Yep.
Handler?
Retrieverhandler.com.
Okay. Retrieverhandler.com. This is what they look like. They are like an olive green color if you're watching this on video. And it has our little logo and Retriever Handler, but then on the back, it's different than what we usually do. It's going to be probably backwards. But it's like a black lab and a duck fighting in like a boxing match. We thought it would be pretty cool to try out, see if they sell. So if you want any of our t-shirts, we have a very limited quantity. So be sure to order on our website.
And to the people who have already ordered, thank you.
Yes.
What I am going to do is after this drops, the first person to use the code podcast, we will also send a free hat of your choice. So only to the first person. And they're going to say, well, how do I know who's first? Well, when I know that this podcast drops at, let's say, 7:00, I can see when the order comes in. So if it's 7:01 and they use podcast, then I know.
We have we know when people order.
Yeah.
It's all time stamped, and we'll post it on our story too.
So t-shirt plus hat of your choice.
Use code podcast.
And you can see what hats we have available on our website. So go get them while they're here. I liked them. I thought they came out really, really well. I'm very happy with our supplier on that. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens in the future with that supplier. Anything new on your end, Bethany?
Um, no, this week was really tough
Because I was gone.
because you were gone. I'll give you that.
Since you've been gone.
You're like are literally our rock to our family. Like you just hold everything together, I feel like. Like especially with the dogs,
Yeah.
you know. So
It's not easy taking care of 3 dogs by yourself.
yeah, well, maybe that was it. You are a rock, but maybe that was maybe that was it. It was taking care of 3 dogs by myself, but I was lucky enough to have my sister come stay with me for a few days because she lives in Pittsburgh and she doesn't have any dogs or anything. So she was like, "Yeah, I'll come stay with you." And it was fun. We had a couple girls' nights. So
If you see us looking beneath the camera, it's because we have a monitor here now, so it's like way bigger. So just in case you're
yeah,
wondering why we're looking at the screen, I don't know which one to look at.
I think no, I think you need to look at the monitor.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, let me do a quick Alpha Dog nutrition plug. Complete nutritional supplements for every dog. We have been using Alpha Dog nutrition supplements for over 5 years now and have not looked back. Healthier coats to solid stools. Alpha Dog Nutrition has a solution for every condition. Use code RH15 at checkout to save 15% off your next order. That's R as in retriever, H as in handler, RH15. Alpha Dog Nutrition peak performance starts here. If you haven't tried these supplements, definitely try them. They honestly work. So be sure to use that code at checkout.
We love Alpha Dog Nutrition.
You do
We
not
have
plan on switching.
yeah. The probiotics.
It's
Oh
fantastic.
my gosh.
It's the only thing that worked for our dogs.
I know. And we've had many issues with our dog's loose stools.
Yes.
So
We are in good hands with Alpha Dog, and you could be too. Um, anything else, Bethany?
um what else?
Our numbers, and I knew this would happen, but Bob's podcast last week was off the charts.
Yeah.
He went to number 1
that.
quickly. Um, it's like over 230 listens.
Not surprised though, because
Actually, including YouTube, probably 250.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not surprised.
he's a really good talker.
Yeah, he's great.
He knows how to hold a conversation. He's just great.
I don't know if I said it in the podcast or after when we were just talking to him after we stopped recording. I was like, this is going to be our number 1 podcast. I don't know if I said it during the recording or not, but
You called it though.
yeah. So this week we have Jeremie Lovejoy on of Country Roads Retrievers. So he has big shoes to fill.
No pressure.
No pressure, but interested to talk to him. He's another guy that I immediately thought of when we started this, who we could get on. So I'm going to ask again because I've asked 3 times already and I don't remember the answer. Do you have anything else to say?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right.
Anything else to say?
I don't think so.
Okay. Here's Jeremie.
All right. We are welcomed on by Jeremie Lovejoy of Country Roads Retrievers. Jeremie, thank you for joining us today. And how's everything going?
It's going good. Staying busy. Getting ready to leave for the Grand Wednesday morning. I usually like to leave earlier than that, but since I'm doing the bat dog thing with Tonka, their opening day is Tuesday, so
Okay.
I'm gonna knock that out tomorrow evening, and then roll up to Kentucky early Wednesday. So
Where's the Grand being held in Kentucky?
Paducah. It's like
it's
about
Paducah?
almost as
Okay.
far west of Kentucky you can go, so it's going to be a
Yep.
drive.
And how many dogs are you taking?
I'm taking 5. Originally, I thought I was going to be taking 7. One of my clients, he had a dog that he thought he had a little bit more time to sign up, and he just forgot about it. And then, of course, I got sidetracked. I thought everybody was signed up, so it's kind of bonehead move on me as a trainer, saying, "Hey, let me make sure to stay on top of my clients to make sure they get them signed up." But things happen, and then one of the other dogs, Heidi, which is owned by Brandon James, I've already put a grand title on her, but he was probably going to run her anyway, but then he decided to hold off. But while I had her, I ran her for got her the one master pass she needed to qualify for Master Nationals again. So then she went home to take a break.
Gotcha. Is Tonka going?
Yeah, oh yeah, Tonka's going. I'm trying to get him in the Hall of Fame. So he's got 3 grand passes. He should have 4. We were out in
Wow.
Wisconsin last spring and went out on the chucker. He chased it to
Oh
the
yeah.
woods. I'm like, no. I'm like,
Yeah.
you get that far, into the 5th series, you see people going out on a walk up, and it's like, man, that's a pain I don't want to feel, to get through 4 grueling series and to go out on a walk up.
Yeah.
And,
Dang.
the dogs are just so amped, but, and then, you see dogs going out, because they won't sit on the flush or sit the shot. And,
Yeah.
I know that pain now, and it hurts.
I
So,
I can't imagine that, and I've always said, like, if I ever get that far, and because I don't do any upland training at all, so to go out, like, to get that far and then to go out on the 5th series, I truly do not. I can't even imagine how that
It's
feels.
painful,
Yeah,
probably.
well, before I went to my first grand, I'm like, I'm kind of having the same thought process as you all. Like, I've never done upland. Like, I need to run some upland tests.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I had several other pros tell me, said, man, you don't worry about the 5th series until the night before.
yeah,
And it's true, and once you get there, you got a bunch of great guys that, you can link up with that have been
yeah,
there and done it. And,
yeah,
you just work your dog a couple times, and get those corrections. When they say burn sit, when they're
yeah,
flushing, you just stimulation sit, so they stay off
yeah,
the chucker. And, in Tonka, there's 1 grand we were pre-training the night before that I'm like, we're failing, because every
yeah,
flush that he's doing, he's 4 feet off the ground trying to catch his chucker in the air as I'm like, tweet, sit,
yeah,
and I'm like, man, we're so done. But no, he'd get through it. But
yeah, yeah,
but
that's
like I said,
great.
you
I
just
mean,
really get some reps in that evening before, and I mean really all you have to do. I've did it with
right.
several dogs now, and so
Yeah. Good for you. Sorry, Bethany had to leave. I don't know
no,
if you
that's
could
fine.
hear, but one of our dogs was barking upstairs.
Barking up a
Yeah,
storm.
So, well, that was a great introduction.
Yeah, I love that.
But how we like to start out is kind of rapid fire questions. First thing that comes to
yeah,
your mind, just to get to know you a little bit better. So go
They're
ahead.
they're silly, they're weird,
yeah,
some of them are funny.
yeah.
Favorite movie of all time?
I was thinking about that one, and I'm like, man, it's hard to nail down a single movie. Spending 20 years in the Marine Corps and doing all these deployments, you get movie qualified, is what we call it, because you're literally killing time by watching movie after movie, on these
Yeah.
deployments. But I
Yeah.
really like Lonesome Dove. That's one series
Yep.
that I can, if I'm
Nice.
bored, I can turn that on and just jump right back into it.
Yeah.
So I'll
Yep.
go with that.
That's the second one. Somebody else said Lonesome Dove too.
Really?
Yeah, it's the second one
I
now.
don't remember.
Yeah.
Favorite TV show of all time?
I really liked Game of Thrones and Sons of Anarchy. I like both of those.
Oh yeah,
Oh, Sons of Anarchy's good.
great
I
show.
love that show.
Yeah.
Biggest pet peeve?
Uh, as far as dogs, whining. I cannot stand a vocal dog. I cannot
Yeah.
stand it. I've
What
got
would
one in a kennel that it drives me nuts.
uh, I don't blame you. What would you be doing if you weren't training dogs professionally?
So, like I said, I did my 20 years in the Marine Corps, retired in 2019. And once I retired, I started working as a contractor, doing the same thing. I was just in civilian clothes, working next to the Marines. And, so that's probably what I'd still be doing. I actually just quit that job January 29th to go dogs full time.
Wow.
So
Congrats. That's awesome.
thanks. It was, and a lot of anxiety to try to make that decision, but
Of course.
I
Yeah.
had this spring, or fall and spring, was getting a lot of phone calls from people, and I'm like, man, I can't tell these people that I can honestly work their dog and still try to juggle both jobs. And,
Right.
because, I was working second shift there on base, and yeah, I go in about 3:30. So, I mean, here I am getting up early to go train these dogs, get them done, come back, feed, air, not even have time to sit down. It's
Yeah.
once they're fed and aired, I'm back in the truck going to work. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
then get back that evening. And, if there were some dogs that needed force fetched or something that I could do in the kennel for a few, I'd typically try to do that sometimes. But, it gets rough, balancing two full-time jobs like that.
Oh
And so I'm
yeah.
I'm glad that, I'm just down to doing dogs now. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Good for you.
I can't imagine that.
It's
One
rough.
word,
Yeah.
one word your buddies would use to describe you.
Oh man. They they call me Click. So, and it's a ruthless group of friends, close friends that I got, but love them to death. But we were turkey hunting, me and my buddy Wes, a few years ago, and we were on Camp Lejeune. So anytime you get in and out of my truck to run and gun, you got to unload and load, unload and load every time. And
Yeah.
so we've been doing that, and we had were driving down the road by this one area and saw some toms run back out of the field into the woods. So we jumped out of the truck, grabbed our guns, went and sat down through their little ways, and didn't see those. But as we were coming back out of that path, we were kind of coming in this open area. And my buddy Wes like, "Hey man, let's kind of be careful because sometimes there's still some toms that come out there." And
Yeah.
so I'm like, "All right." So we kind of peeked out there to the left, and sure enough, there was two. So Wes is sitting on the right side of the path, to where he's watching to where they're coming from. And I just kind of get down on my belly, put my strutter out there, as far as I could, just a couple feet. Then I just kind of scoot back. And there's a big tree right there to the left. So I'm just sitting there laying there waiting, and I threw out a couple yelps and on my slate. And he's like, man, they're coming. And here I am in the prone. And this turkey comes around this tree, and between 5 and 10 yards. Here I am in my head. I'm picturing, I'm like, this turkey's head's just going to blow up into oblivion. And as I pull the trigger, you just go click, and I'm like, and so so Wes shoots and he drops it, and I'm just still mad as all can be. So that
Oh
nickname
man.
has stuck with me ever since, and now it's just kind of a running joke with the four of us. It's like when
Yeah.
one of them have clicked on a duck. So like my buddy Matt, he's clicked Junior now, and uh, so mm, so
I,
That's funny.
I had a feeling that's where that story was going once you got into it.
yeah,
Now it
it's
makes sense.
That's so funny.
yeah.
All right. Uh, Coffee or energy drink?
Uh, if I'm hunting, probably an energy drink. But around the house, I'll drink coffee in the mornings. But I ain't trying to be in a duck blind drinking coffee.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Biggest fear?
uh, felon, not so much as like felon a dog or anything like that, but just getting to not being able to provide for the family.
Yeah.
Yep.
When I was looking at retiring from the Marine Corps, it's like, man, what am I going to do? And just the anxiety of like the last thing I ever want to do is go backwards. Um, and so it's like trying to find a job.
Yeah.
And luckily, there was a guy that we did our first enlistments together here in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and he got medically discharged after his first enlistment and got a job as a contractor at the B-22 squadron. And I'm out in Yuma, Arizona, and twice a year they have that weapons and tactics instructor course where Marines from all over the country come out and go through that course. And one of the Marines from BMMT 204 come out there, and I was like, man, are they hiring? He's like, you know what? We just had a second shift guy quit. So I'm like, Rashad, I'm
Yeah.
like, hook me up. I was like, can
Yeah.
y'all
Right.
wait? And
Yeah.
so this was like March timeframe, and I couldn't leave to start my terminal leave until June. And
Okay.
even though I wouldn't officially be retired until September, but I had enough days of leave saved up and all that to where I could actually leave. So from June all the way till September, I'm drawing the full paycheck. And and I so they held that spot for me, and I started there in July. So I was kind of double dipping, full military paycheck plus paycheck through the from
Yeah.
contracting.
Yeah.
So, but like I
Nice.
said, they held it, and so that worked out really good. Took a lot of
Good.
stress relief, but like I said, my
Yeah.
biggest fear is being in a position where I can't provide for wife, kids, and now grandkids.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I spoil my grandson.
Yeah. I see him on Facebook all the time. So yeah, you guys are
Man,
awesome
he
together.
he is a trooper, man. He
Oh, fun.
loves being outside, and I got my little training gun that I use to train HRC style stuff, and
Yeah.
because a lot of times, I would be training by myself, and it's like, sitting there swinging the 12 gauge around, a lot. It gets taxing after a while. So I was like, man, they make a wooden gun. I
Yeah.
bought
Yeah.
it, and so that's Casey's gun. And he takes it. Whenever we go duck hunting, or I take dogs over to the preserve, he's right there with the gun, and he's shooting, pow, pow, and
That's
and
awesome.
so and then so I do a youth hunt for kids every year too, and
Yep.
so Casey come with me one time, and my son and his wife were like, "Good luck getting him up in the morning, man." You tell that kid he's going hunting or fishing, and you can wake him up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he's ready to roll.
Wow. That's
That's
And
awesome.
awesome.
but yeah, he that first youth hunt we did, I'm sitting there running Tonka next to the young girl and her father, and Casey's right there standing with my little training gun, and every time a duck would fly by, he's like, "Here goes one." He's like, "Pow, pow." It was hilarious, but
I love
he loves
that.
it.
How old is he?
He just turned 3 back in March, so
Oh,
he's
okay. He's young.
oh yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Wow.
oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He actually went out with me on the boat. Once last year, we didn't see nothing, but he's right there. First light, he's sitting there with my little fake gun over the top of the blind, just waiting. And I'm like, man, I hope we see something. But
Yeah.
and
That's
like
that's great.
his little hands are cold. But I'm like, you want some hand warmers? He's like, no, no, no. And
Aw,
so,
starting them
but
young.
Yeah.
I love it.
and he's
That's
like,
great.
oh yeah, and he's finally figured out how to make sound with the duck calls, so he plays with
Oh,
them and stuff
nice.
like that. But when it
Oh.
comes to shooting ducks, he's like, "No, you do it, pop pop." He's like, "You do the duck calls, I'm shooting." So, but,
He'll leave that to you.
Yeah, yeah, you get that job.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Last one we have for rapid fire. Best dog trait. Would you rather have drive or obedience?
I I'd have to go with obedience because I mean that it all starts right there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
if you got a dog that's have so much drive that he can't control it, he ain't worth it. He ain't worth it to me.
Yep.
So one, you got to listen, steadiness, quiet, and we'll roll from there.
Right.
But,
Right. I agree. Awesome. Awesome. Before we get any further, thank you for your service.
Yes.
That's
yeah,
great to
thank you.
hear. I uh I thought you had a military background from Facebook and stuff.
Yeah,
So I'm glad you shine some light onto that. And then I'm looking in the background. Is that it's a little bit grainy, but is that a wood duck up top there?
yeah, yeah. So I got a wood duck here, a hooded mergansers, a
Yeah.
pair of redheads, and a
Okay.
gadwall. So
Nice.
I
So
got
those
my
all
banded teal over there, mallard, my daughter's mallard, and then I got some
That's
others
cool.
I'm waiting to come in.
awesome. All Carolina ducks or all from all over?
Uh, yeah, we went to North Dakota in 24.
Oh,
But
nice.
going to North Dakota in October, you're going to shoot a lot, but it's hard to really get one that's worthy of mountain because they just ain't thinned out a lot yet that time of year.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but man, we wore out the canvas backs there, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah. That's on our bucket list for sure to get up there.
Oh yeah.
All right, cool. Are you starting off, Bethany?
No, you can start off country road trip.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, and this is a question that I need to ask more. And I
Mhm.
think this is the first time I'm asking this, but why the name country? Well, let me start this. I think I have an idea of why, but I want you to tell me why the name Country Roads Retrievers.
Well, I kind of rolled around a couple of things, but I kind of finally settled in it, obviously. But I'm born and raised in West Virginia, and that's
Yeah.
our
That was
thing.
his
Country
guess.
roads take me home. So I was like, man, it sounds good, and so I just rolled with it, and
Yeah,
so,
that's what I figured it was.
yeah.
You're talking to two Pitt fans right now.
I know it, I know it. I was like, man,
Yeah,
we may cut this podcast
yeah,
short.
I have to cut this a little short.
yeah. I had a bunch more questions, but Jeremy, this
Yeah,
is now over.
yeah,
Um, but no, it's all good. Like I said, I had
yeah,
a feeling that's what it
Yeah.
was, but wanted to make sure that's what it was for. So
yeah,
cool though. I mean, as much as like I don't like that song, it's like such a catchy song.
It's such a
yeah,
good
Like it's hard not to sing it when it comes on.
It's so hard not to
yeah.
sing it.
But as Pitt fans, we hate that song.
Yeah.
But for the sake of this podcast, we're not going to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So how many dogs are you training on a daily basis right now?
So right now, including my 6, I've got 30 dogs, and
wow.
so we're
Wow.
rolling. And by taking on that many, I've brought in some help. You can't be a solo person and do that.
Yeah.
So got a lady that comes in, and she's really doing really good with the basics, and I've been teaching her the hold conditioning, the force fetch, and stuff like that. And then I got a buddy named Tommy Sports. He bought a pup for my first litter of Tonkin Dixie. He's put an HRCH and just put the master title on her. And he just retired several months ago. So he told me, he's like, man, he's like, if you need help, he's like, I'd love to come work with you and start getting my hands on some other dogs. So I've been bringing him out, and he's been helping
Nice.
with force fetch and stuff like that. And then when I leave on Wednesday, um, him and Amanda are going to be here continuing to roll with the young dogs and the transition dogs and stuff like that. So that'll be beneficial. That way the dogs just aren't sitting here
Yeah.
doing nothing. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
so but
And
and like I said, they'll if Amanda comes out, we're going to the field, she's throwing ducks or reloading wingers for me and stuff like that. And same as Tommy. And,
Yeah.
I talked to Clint Everett last month about possibly going over to his place, Shadow Creek Farms, for a couple of days or early May to do some grand training. So some of those videos you've seen of the nice nice grounds over there, that's his place. And I mean, it
Oh,
is
nice.
just
Nice.
immaculate. And
Yeah.
but that's why it's like, you get over there, and I was like, man, I was like, I could do a million things over here, but I really want to challenge these dogs on concept singles and stuff. Make sure they're doing the marks right. To me, that's huge.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Absolutely. 100% agree. With the help that you have and just knowing what I know right now and the workforce in general, how
Mhm.
hard it is to find reliable work. Have you had that problem finding like people that would actually show up to help you, or have you been pretty lucky in that aspect?
Not yet. There was one of the neighbors' kids. He was 14. Good worker. He his parents were divorced. And his mom's in Minnesota and his dad was here. And so he'd come down for the summer, and was looking for work, so I put him to work, and he'd be here as early as I needed him, and
Wow.
he was only supposed to stay a couple months, but he was enjoying having some money in his pocket, so he stayed several more months before he finally went back home, and but he
Wow.
did good. But the other thing too is, I'm the help I have, I'm paying him $15 an hour.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you got to, um,
Yeah.
if
Yep.
you want somebody that's going to be good and consistent, uh,
Yep.
because it ain't like it was when I was starting out coming up. I started at my first minimum wage job was $5 and something. So,
Jeez.
today you can't even get hardly anything with $15, so
No.
but
Yeah.
I can't really go above that. And then I got a lady too that I pay monthly to come and sanitize the kennels for me.
Yeah.
And but the either Tommy or Amanda, I kind of bring them in, sprinkle them, their help here and there. Because I'm still getting used to figuring out, the budget wise on how much I can continue to come bring them in and help and all that. So,
Right.
but
Right. Well, that's good. I'm glad that
Yeah.
you found some reliable people.
Yeah. From
oh yeah,
the looks on social media, it seems like you either do you live in a neighborhood or do you have like property around you, or like where is your kennel on your property, or
yeah.
how what's that
Kennel's
your
right in my
setup look like?
backyard.
Oh, nice.
And then I'm at the end of the cul-de-sac, and there's a big field between my house and the house in the back. And
Nice.
we moved in. There's an elderly lady named Miss Lewis that lived there, and from day one, she's like, train as much as you want, man. And her granddaughter ended up building a house right across from us, and they're super awesome. Uh, and they're like, yeah, continue to train, do whatever, and
Wow,
you
nice.
know, uh, the neighbors, they haven't complained. At least if they have, they haven't done it to my face. But I try to be, I try to be very mindful of what I try to do early in the morning. I don't want to be firing off boom guns or thunder launchers first thing in the morning. There's other stuff I can do early on.
Right.
Until people start to wake up.
Yeah.
But Saturdays and Sundays, I'll wait a little bit longer, so I'm not messing with them. But no, I mean, people like my neighbors, there's at the end of the field, they shoot their pistols and guns down there. I shoot clays next to the house. And as much as I've shot boom guns and thunder launchers, I think I've kind of made them, my rest of the neighbors accustomed to it. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
Yeah. They're just used to it
come
by now.
come early geese season, in September, like the geese fly over here religiously. So we'll sit out in the middle of the field in an A-frame or whatever and just bust them.
Yeah.
And so it's like, can't get no better
That's
than that. Just
awesome.
walk out the front
That
door and,
is.
and
Yeah.
And you're
so,
lucky enough to have really good neighbors too
Yeah.
that
That could be a living
yeah,
hell if
yeah.
they hated you.
yeah, that's
Well, I've
good.
got one across the street I do not associate with at all. But I ain't gonna go there. But I mean, he stays in his business, and I will stay in mine. But
Yeah.
There's always one.
but
Yeah.
then
There's
I
always one.
There has
yeah,
to be
yeah.
always
But then I
one.
got a guy, Manny. He lives in the next cul-de-sac up, and he's got a GSP, and he'll come over and watch me train, and ask for help doing force fetch. And he just started trying to
Yeah.
get into taking some taxidermy classes. So I'm like, here, man, take a mallard. I got
Oh
I got a
yeah, that's
freezer
cool.
full of mallards. So take and practice
Yeah.
with them. Um,
Awesome.
so
That is
he's really
cool.
cool. But like I said, for the most part, we got some really good neighbors.
Yeah, cool.
How did you get to kind of where you are today? Like, how did you feel comfortable finally asking people like, "Hey, pay me money and I will train your dog"? Like, how did you learn everything?
So my older chocolate, he'll turn 8 this year. I got him when I was out in Yuma, Arizona before I retired. And, I never, we had labs as kids, but, never duck hunted with them. They were just pets. And growing up in West Virginia, it was deer hunting. No, I didn't know anybody that duck hunted. I fished, deer hunted, I mean, and stuff. But So I got him with the intent, the kids were in middle school, getting ready to go to start their freshman year. My son was, and then, so they're at that age, we can get a dog and then start being responsible and taking care of it.
Yeah.
And when I was out there, I was big into bass fishing, and when I got him, I was like, or Triton, I was like, man, I was like, sure, I would love to duck hunt, like,
Yeah.
so, but I couldn't afford a trainer, so it was, let me figure this out on my own. And I'm watching videos online. Um, I got that Tom Doken book, reading that. And then, I knew when I was retiring and coming back here, I started reaching out to figure out what clubs there were in the area. That's when I realized, News Retriever Club was one. And so they put me in touch with, once I figured out where I was moving to, they put me in touch with Bill Mattis, which is River Ridge Kennels. And he
Okay.
just lives like 5 minutes from me. So for a good year and a half, I tagged along with him. And, I'd bring Triton with me and we'd run him. And, another funny story, real quick, is, we're sitting there training at the pond. At the time, hey, Triton's sitting in the back seat of the truck. And, you know, those young dogs, it's like, hey, every retrieve is mine,
Oh
regardless.
yeah.
And, so here I am, I've got the windows cracked, and like he's in the truck, like just falling at the back window. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's going to rip my window out. And so, and I'm out in the field, like throwing marks and helping Bill out. And I'm sitting there, I've got my e-collar. I'm like, sit down, you better stop, stop.
Yeah.
And, so I'm like, man, I got to go roll this window down some, and so I did that. And while we was taking a break, and then Bill had launched one of his thunder launchers, and I look over and Triton had done flew out the back window of the truck. And Bill's like, you might want to get him because this dog's a bitch and she's probably going to fight over that bumper. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, so I'm
Oh
getting
my
Triton,
God.
and I'm like, Bill's never going to let me train with him again. My dog's, messing up his stuff, and, but I finally got him and put him up. But I soon got a crate for him to sit in outside the truck because I'm like, I do not need him tearing up my windows and
Right.
stuff. So,
Oh yeah. Oh
but
yeah.
yeah. So, like I said, so I tagged along with him for a bit, and ran my first junior test, and Tryon was doing great in training, and then first test I ever ran, we failed. He doesn't even pick up the first bird. He runs
Oh
past it
man.
and starts peeing here, peeing there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm fuming. I'm like, you come out here and you embarrass me like that. Like, I know you can do this. What are you doing? And and one of the judges were like, can he handle? Because you can handle once. And so I'm like, well, we're working on it. So I kind of get him back over in that area a couple times. He was just distracted.
Yeah.
And, so I finally get him, call him in, and I'm sitting there in the truck, and a guy comes up to me, and he's like, man, you ain't the first one, and you ain't the last one. And
Yep.
I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I know, but yeah, I know he can do it.
Yep.
And uh, but then I was talking to Bill afterwards when he came from Master. Because before I ran Triton, I was like, man, let me get him out here and just kind of sit him off to the side and make him just listen and watch a little bit, and make him learn some patience. And
Yeah.
and Bill was like, "Man, never let a young dog watch." So, um, so the next day I ran, I didn't let him watch. And, as you're walking up to the line, you know about the sequence when they're going to start firing a boom gun and stuff. So just make sure there was a car between you and
Yeah.
him, so you can't see. And I mean, he just flat out crushed it. And, from
Awesome.
there, we got our 4 junior passes. He went 5 for 5 in senior, 6 for 6 in master. And,
Nice.
so, um, but, while he was prepping for master and still working on senior is about the time those COVID checks came out.
Mm.
And I was like, well, what am I going to do with this? I bought a dog. That's when I bought Tonka.
Yep.
Oh
And
wow. Okay.
as a few weeks later, I bought my black female, Dixie. And
Okay.
so I'm working them, and I'm like, I really don't have the money to run Triton and a master, and 2 dogs in junior Saturday and Sunday. I mean, like, that's like $500 worth of entry fees.
Right.
So I skipped junior and senior with them, but I did run started and seasoned for the points. And
Mhm.
uh, when Tonka and Dixie were 12 months old, I'm like, hey, we're running master. And I had a couple people like, dude, what are you doing? Like, these dogs are young. And I'm like, man, they're
Yeah.
doing it in training. Like, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
my older dog
Why
too,
not?
he was a creeper. And, he's a little bit vocal. But I didn't want to donate my money because AKC allows your dogs to creep. You can't say
Yeah.
nothing so they can creep. So just, hey, reheal your dog. And I'm like, so that's why he never failed. I didn't want to donate my
Yeah.
money. But
Right.
once I got Tonka and Dixie, I'm like, if they creep, I'm pulling them. Like,
Yeah.
I would donate my money in a heartbeat because I don't like it. And um, so enrolled them in their first master test 12 months and they both passed. And
Wow.
the only master test that Tonka's failed to date was one at 13 months old. And by the time they were both 18 months, they're both hunting retriever champion master hunters. And so people were seeing what I was doing with them early on is what caught a lot of people's eyes and stuff like that. And the other thing was like, when I started to consider training dogs for other people, it's like, how am I going to get people to trust me to train their dogs if I can't title my own? So that was
Right.
that was the other big thing. And so finished Triton's master title, you know, got Tonka and Dixie theirs. And then I took my buddy Roger's dog, trained it for free. I was like, hey, just let me run it and get some titles. And
Mhm.
um, he just wanted to stop at junior. So I got put a junior title on it. And then one of the game wardens on Camp Lejeune uh, trained it for free. And we got it through senior before he's like, man, I just want to take her home.
Yeah.
So, and then one of my buddies, Doug Kitzmiller, he was really hounding me because my plan was maybe wait until the spring of 23 time frame to go pro. And
Mhm.
because I was really kind of debating on when. And he had a chocolate male named Ruben, and he was like, I really want you to train this dog. And in the fall of 22, Ruben's already 7 months old. I was like, this dog needs to go to a trainer, or if I'm going to do it, I need to do it. So I'm like, let's do
Yeah.
it. So I got him, and then Brandon James sent me his female Heidi, and so those are the two dogs that started me off as far as a pro, and put an HRCH master title on both of those. Ruben went home. Uh, Heidi, she's 2 for 2 at the Grand. She's 2 for 2 at Master National. She is a very solid dog. And that's why I was like, man, I'd love to take her back to the Grand. Like, she's solid.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's
Right.
almost like it's just pad some stats at this point with her. But no, she is really good. But that first Master National, I've never run Master National yet. Um, the first time that Tonka and Heidi and Dixie were all qualified for Master Nationals, me and my buddies already had that trip to North Dakota planned. And I'm like, here I am. I only get 2 weeks of vacation through that job I had on base. And
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
saving that for when I go to the Grand. And,
Right.
and then I'm also had that trip to North Dakota. I'm like, man, I'm going to North Dakota. And
Yeah.
Brandon, he's got the dam of Heidi, Quinn. He's always had Glenn Rogers run her in Master National. So he's like, man, I don't want to have a dog here and here with two different guys. He's like, but Glenn's always done really good with the dogs at Master Nationals. And so I want to send Heidi and Glenn Quinn with him. And I was like, well, shoot, I'm gonna probably send Tonka and Dixie with him too, because I'm going to North Dakota. So I talked to Glenn,
Yeah.
and he took them, and Tonka and Heidi got a plate. I think he had 7 dogs, and I know Tonka and Heidi got through, but I can't remember if that was the only 2 he got through or if he got another one through. I can't remember, but it was a rough one. But it felt pretty good that, two of the 3 dogs I sent with him got through. So I was like, that kind of made me feel good that, I'm training dogs at that level. and everything. And
Yeah.
Dixie here, the one that never breaks, decided to
Yeah.
break in the fourth series.
Oh,
And I'm like,
no.
you've got to be kidding me. And Glenn and Becky Rogers, I mean, they were heartbroken because they love Dixie. Dixie is a hammer. And, they're like, dude, you need to send her back. Like everybody's like Tonka this, Tonka that, everybody hears about Tonka, but a lot of people, when they see Dixie run, they're like, dang, like, I didn't know she was that good. I'm like, dude, Dixie would put a whooping on Tonka some days,
Yeah.
and she has out hunted him. We was out in North Dakota. I found Tonka's limit, but I have yet to find hers. And I
Wow.
mean, she is a beast, and I love her to death. And so
How many grand titles have you put on dogs? Do you know?
Tonka and Heidi so far. Glory's got one grand pass. Dolly, my daughter's dog that she kept from the first time I bred Tonkin Dixie. She just got her first grand pass last fall, just before turning 2 years old. So um, try to get her second one, and
Yeah.
then they're just chasing points after that. But I think Glory's got
Right.
enough points now. She just needs that second pass. So
Gotcha. And why the name? How did you come up with Tonka?
he was yellow, and I was like, man, that's my little Tonka truck. So I was
Tonka
like,
truck. I was just about to say that.
so I was
That's
like,
so
man, he's gonna be
funny.
hauling some ducks. He's gonna be hauling some ducks for me. So I was like,
Yeah.
man. So and that's kind of how it rolled into the name too. Tar Heels, Drake Hall, and Tonka. You know,
Okay.
so
Okay.
it
Yeah.
kind of just
It's a
rolled pretty
unique
good.
name. Yeah, I like it a lot. We actually, and I don't expect you to remember this, but we actually saw you. It was last. It was it last year?
No, 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
2 years ago at Eastern Carolina. I'm actually
HRC.
looking at the right
Ribbons. Yeah.
Eastern Carolina HRC hunt test. Where was that? It was in North Carolina, but I'm trying to remember the.
Four Oaks.
Yeah,
They
Yes.
always
4
want.
Oaks.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was in 4
Is that
Oaks.
your home club?
One of them. I'm a member of East
Yeah.
Carolina Noose Retriever
Okay.
Club, and then we started that new club, Continue Creek, just to get more tests in the region. And
Yeah. Okay.
because Eastern Carolina, they're limited to spring and fall, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because there's so many activities going on at Howell Woods in those grounds that really makes it kind of ties their hands at doing any more. So, um, before we started this club, basically anything north of North Carolina, HRC was kind of irrelevant. It was all
Yep.
AKC. Then you had to go
Yep.
south for any HRC stuff other than East Carolina. And when I was running Tonka and Dixie, I had to go to Nashville for passes. I had to go to North Georgia. And I mean,
Yep.
if I didn't make those trips, they wouldn't have got their HRCH at 18 months. And
Right.
but so now, Rappahannock Retriever Club, they've become a dual club to do HRC in Remington, Virginia. And like I said, we created Continue Creek, just to be able to have more opportunities instead of having to drive so much.
Yeah.
And it's worked out really well.
Mm-hmm.
We enjoyed the Eastern Carolina at 4 Oaks. The grounds was very interesting. And there was like people like walking around, like I guess bird watching. Is that like some sort of like?
Yeah, you got people just walking around all the time, like I said. So that's why it's like, you can those grounds, like when they have hunting out there during hunting season. They hog
Yeah.
hunting, deer hunting, and everything.
Oh,
People
okay.
ride horses and stuff like that. And I was training in one of those fields a couple years ago, and I keep hearing these little squeals, and I'm like, "What is that?" And I look over there, and there's like 4 or 5 little piglets coming across the field, and they're just
Wow.
getting closer and closer. And I'm like, "Oh gosh!" I'm like, "Where's mom?" Like, I don't want mom coming over here. Like, I ain't even got
Yeah.
a real gun. I can just shoot poppers at them. But other than that, I'm
Yeah.
jumping in the truck. You know, but
Whoa. That's interesting.
That's crazy.
yeah.
Huh.
Can't
Yeah, I just
remember if that's ever happened to us.
yeah, I just remember like running and then like turning around and there was like a guy with like like these like small binoculars. I'm like, what the hell was he looking at?
Yeah,
And then
Yeah.
somebody told me, they're like, yeah, they like people walk
Yeah.
around here and like bird watch. And I was like, oh, I didn't know people actually did that.
Speaking of bird watching, I was training with Tommy over there at Clint's place the other day, and I had my double set up where I launched a long bird first, and then I launched my short one because I want them to retrieve that short one and then drive past that old fall for the long one.
Yep.
And so as the go bird hits, I send Waylon, and as he gets it and is coming back, this eagle swoops down and just snatches my long memory bird and takes off.
No.
I'm
No
like,
way.
yeah, I'm like, man, that's the coolest, most effed up thing I've ever seen. I was like, now I got to
Yeah.
rerun it. So,
Oh
but
my gosh.
Cow.
Were you recording or anything? Did you get it on
no, I
video
wish I
or
would
no?
have had it on camera, but that was pretty cool. I've never had that
Oh
happen.
man.
Was it a bald eagle?
Oh yeah, yeah. He
Wow.
didn't miss a beat, snatched and gone. And he's probably
Wow.
gonna have the
That
bubble guts after eating that duck.
Yeah. It's an old
That
duck.
old nasty rotten duck. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is so awesome. I would kill to see that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see what else okay, so what I've always loved following you on social media because you like don't care at all
No,
about what like
I don't.
people think or what and there's so many times where I'm looking at your post and I just laugh and I want to
Yeah.
comment on them so bad, but like then I'll start reading the comments and you're just getting like you're getting fried by some of these people. So I'm like, all right, I'm staying out of it. But
Yeah.
as
It's just a sense of humor thing. Like I like poking the button on some people.
I think it's
You know,
hilarious. I think
you
it's
know,
hilarious.
especially the political stuff. Like
Yeah.
I've got a friend named Gretchen, and she is super Democrat. She runs a
Yeah.
dog. We've always been friends, but I like to poke at her. Like she tries to change my mind on politics, and I try to be like, no BS, whatever. But we're not going to change each other's minds. So every now and then I'll be like, hey Gretchen, you want to try the Trump dance? She's like, heck no, I'll throw up. But yeah,
Um,
like I said, I like to stir the pot and everything just
Yeah.
for fun.
It's
yeah.
funny.
Yeah, I love it. But recently I did notice that so there's like been that story with long cane retrievers about how
Uh-huh.
I think some woman posted about how she couldn't get in contact with and maybe you know more than me, but she couldn't get in contact with the trainer and then she picked the dog up and it had some sort of virus and lost a lot of weight and she was just bashing the trainer. So a lot of people see that and thinking like, wow, okay, I'm never gonna send my dog there. And then I saw you make
Yeah,
a post in one of the groups. It might have been the hunting retrievers group, um,
yeah.
kind of like shedding light on the story. Can you talk more about that and kind of like what made you feel like you needed to essentially step up and perhaps defend that trainer?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing, the main thing I wanted to kind of get across is, dogs are going to catch worms, they're going to catch viruses, kennel cough, stuff like that. It's a given. Um, and to sit there and just blast a man's livelihood on social media, I, I for that reason is I think was uncalled for, and that's why I kind of pointed that out. Like, and I've talked to Caleb some, and there's two sides to everything, and I'm probably not going to hear it all. Um, of course, I think the owners are saying like they weren't notified, but Caleb's like, man, this dog was being seen by a vet. I've tried to let him know what was going on, couldn't get a hold of him. The vets tried to get a hold of him, yada yada. But again, the main thing was, people don't. It doesn't take much for people to distrust a trainer, and because there's a lot of horror stories out there and everything, and you know these owners have had their dog with him for from what Caleb said, 3 years on and off. Now
Yeah.
one thing pops up and now you're ready to destroy this man.
Yeah.
Just because you say he didn't notify you ahead of time, even though he's doing what he needs to do to get the dog looked at. You know,
Right.
I just don't think that was the right way to approach that. I think they should have just handled it amongst themselves and stuff.
Right.
But again, that's just my take on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, especially for someone who, you know, does it for a living and gets all of their money training dogs, like for someone to just bash the business that you started from the ground up is like it's it's disheartening, I guess, in
Yeah.
a way.
Yeah,
I
and
Yeah.
I
don't
mean,
know.
some cases, I mean, it's justified, and you want people to know, what's going on. But, and I don't want to get into saying their view wasn't justified, because I think
Yeah,
when you read a lot of the comments and replies on that post, it was like, well, the big thing was, he never told us, and
yeah,
you know, I can only go off what, Caleb had told me that, he's tried to get a hold of them and they didn't answer, and the vets tried and so forth. And, his vet's saying, the dog's losing weight, but it's still structurally sound,
Yeah.
but,
yeah,
and then, you had people like saying that, he's starving the dog, but, and then one of the pictures, it's got a bowl of dog food. And they're like, well, that ain't pro plan. Well, if that dog was starving, it didn't care what's in that bowl.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it
Exactly.
um, so, uh, but, from what I understand of it, it's all those warts and stuff in the mouth, and cause it to be painful to eat. So again,
yeah,
regardless of what type of food is in that bowl, if that dog is really hungry, he's going to eat it, you
Yeah.
know?
yeah,
So
Yeah.
it's probably not eating because, his mouth is sore. Uh,
Yeah.
But again,
yeah, that's
there's
hard.
probably things that could have been different from both ends, trainer and owners. But like I said, I didn't feel like it was right to do that social media blast over that. 'Cause you've obviously
Yeah,
trusted the man to take care of your dog for the past 3 years, and
yeah.
and now this comes up, and you're just going to train wreck him over it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Especially after 3 years too.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I
yeah,
said that earlier, like
And that's the part that probably nobody knows, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
everyone's going to be judging him based on that. But like you said, 3 years.
yeah.
So I saw that post come across in whatever that was, hunting retrievers, and I didn't see
yeah.
who posted it. And then I saw, like, I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, this is good. And then I look up a little bit and I see Jeremie Lovejoy, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to get real
This is
good.
gonna get
This is going to get good.
Oh gosh, we're about to stir the pot. Nah. Yeah,
I
and I mean,
love
like I
it.
said, I mean, I kind of, I took some time to think about, before I made that post,
Yeah.
Yeah.
to put some thought into it. 'Cause I mean, it wasn't just the hunting retrievers page it was on. I mean, it was every retriever page imaginable. They put it on.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So,
Yeah. No,
but
it's good that you're defending the the profession and trade.
yeah,
I think people, I think, they need more of that, because nowadays all you see online is people just bashing trainers, and like you said, there's two sides to every story.
Yeah, maybe some of it's
yeah,
warranted, but
Yeah.
not you don't hear the whole story.
Yeah.
So yeah.
yeah, and, probably never will. But and then
Yeah.
it's, it's one of the things that should be held, and unless it's a Matt Neal case, you know
Yeah. Yeah.
And and some of those people like were even comparing that to the stuff that he did. And it's like that's not even close. But that's how
No,
some of
not at
these
all.
people are.
Gosh.
On
Jeez.
social media, they don't know, and it's kind of gets blown out of proportion with a lot of people. So
Did Matt Neal do whatever happened? Did he go to prison?
I don't think so. I don't think he just got some probation out of it. Um,
Wow.
but I know he
Okay.
can't have any more dogs, from what I understand, and I think from what somebody was saying that he's doing. He rents his place out now to other trainers, but I think he does like lawn care now or something like that. I really don't know, but I think so.
Jeez.
Okay. Huh. Um, so another thing that I see a lot on social media, I mean, not a lot, but often, are stud posts for Tonka. So
Yeah.
if I'm in the market for a new puppy, what would I kind of expect? And I say expect which isn't probably the best word, but
Yeah.
what would what am I trying to say?
What would you want out of a pup?
Yeah, what would Tonka? I don't know what I'm trying. Do you know? Finish my sentence, Bethany.
What
What kind of traits are you looking to get out of it?
traits,
Yep.
Yeah.
yes,
Yep.
out of the pups?
So out of all the dogs I got, Tonka's obviously he's got the best off switch. And we had all the dogs in the house, my three for until we got the kennel and then we put them out there. But um, Tonka can get up on your lap and you're checking for a pulse later. My chocolate male, you start trying to love on him and he's like, man, get away from me. Let's just go play. Dixie, she's fine as long as you're rubbing her. And then the moment you stop, she's like, hey, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
keep petting me. Um,
Yeah.
and then the other thing is they don't whine, they don't whimper, they don't bark when they're working. After, hunting with Triton for a couple years before I got them, it's like you just stand there. We ain't even seeing birds yet. And he's like, "Mm." I'm like, oh my gosh. And you just stop. And, uh, when I finally got to take Tonka and Dixie hunting, and they didn't make a peep, I'm like, oh, thank you, Jesus. And I'm like, this such a breath of fresh air. And and you'll find that a lot of people that have vocal dogs, they won't tell you. Um, and you'll find out after the fact when you end up with a vocal one that, oh yeah, someone's like the dam or the sire was vocal.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and that's why, I'll post a lot of videos of Tonka and Dixie working. If you go back far enough, you'll see them running in tests, so I want people to see them. Like, don't just take my word for it. I'm posting videos of them working.
Yeah.
And, I got a great friend named Roberta that has a young dog that, she paid quite a bit for. She'll never be able to run that dog in a test. He's just so vocal and he just can't
Yeah.
control it. And it's one of those things that I believe is more genetic than it is, anything else, because I have yet to find a way to get a dog to stop. You can do things early on, you know, like I got a young dog named Ricky, he would kind of bark and whine, but he's young and it's just right from the get go. Hey, you're not getting nothing until you shut up.
Yeah.
And and I even talked with my clients about him. I was like, he's doing the work. Like, I'm running these dogs at 7, 8 months, 150-ish yard singles, and they're knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they come, his owners come down and watch him train. I'm like, dude, he's clearly doing this. Like, he would pass a junior or started with ease. But putting a dog that's just a little bit vocal already in training,
Yeah.
I didn't want to bring him to that hunt test environment because that's just going to intensify. So
Yep.
I was like, man, let's just hold off, and get him to where he's not doing this. 'Cause the last thing I want to do is make this problem worse by throwing him in that hunt test environment.
Yep.
And so he's gotten better. And he's not doing it anymore. So I think he'd actually be good to run now, but I just didn't feel comfortable running him earlier when I was running the other young dogs. And
Yeah.
so that was my
Yeah.
take on that.
I was gonna ask you, and you already answered it. If you think being vocal is genetic, and I agree with you. I think it is. And some people will say like, well, when you take them out and they start barking at the line, put them back in their kennel and make them wait again. And I always thought like I don't know how well that works because I don't know if dogs can really put two and two together because I feel like a lot of the dogs that are really amped up don't even really know that they're like squealing
Yeah,
and
they can't control it.
yeah,
Yeah,
they can't control it.
no,
So
no, it's
I
just
never really understood like why putting them back in and then taking them right back. They're probably thinking like, what the hell were we doing? You know?
Yeah.
yeah.
It's probably more
No, like
beneficial in the training.
I just sit there like with I got a buddy that's got a dog that's vocal, and it's just like, man, no, just bring her right back.
Yeah.
Make her sit there, and
Yeah.
she will
Yeah.
sit there, you know, and until she just shuts up, and then we'll play. But
Right. Right.
Yeah, in that
and
sense,
then
it's probably more beneficial in a training scenario than a hunt test scenario where
Oh
you're
yeah.
like
Yeah.
just making them wait and sit there rather
Yeah.
than putting them back
yeah.
in the truck in a hunt test scenario where they're like, oh, I guess I don't get to go after all.
Yeah.
And then not really knowing what they're doing. But
And sometimes having them tied out, watching while you're there.
Yep.
I'll put a bark collar on them because I don't want to listen to them. But
Yeah.
they can sit there
Right.
and watch, but they're going to have a bark collar because I'm not going to sit there and try to train while that dang dog's losing its mind over there.
Yeah.
yeah.
They know what that bark collar is, what it
Yep.
does. And half the time, once they figure it out, you ain't even got to turn the thing on. Just put it
Yeah.
on them. So,
Exactly. Yeah. There's a fine line, and that's
yeah.
a hard thing to break. Um.
A few just a couple more questions here before we close out. So
Yeah.
I saw that Tonka's the bat dog for the down east bird dogs.
Bird
How
dog.
did he
Yeah.
get that opportunity?
So
That's pretty cool. That's awesome.
one of the owners reached out to one of the club members with News Retriever Club, asking if anybody had a yellow lab that would be interested in doing it. And at first I was like, man, I'm juggling two jobs, trying to train, my free time, I need to train. And so I'm like, I really don't want to do this because there's a lot of ball games in baseball. And, so at first I didn't want to do it, and
Yeah.
nobody was really jumping on it. And then I was like, man, let me look at their schedule. And, it's kind of right there during the summer months when you're not running tests anyway. And then I reached out to the team, and I'm like, I was like, I'd like to try this, but I really can't commit to doing every home game. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, that's fine. As long as you can kind of do like opening days or big weekends and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, I can do that. And
Yeah.
so we started that, and I'm telling you, man, it has been a blast. Um,
That's cool.
you know, uh, the kids love him. Like when the team takes the field and Tom's not doing anything, we walk the stands, and he'll steal your
Oh,
hot
that's
dog, he'll steal your French fries, whatever. It's like, but it's like, watch your food. He's coming.
yeah.
But then everybody's like, can he have a French fry? It's like, yeah, go ahead. And I'm surprised he didn't put on 50 pounds.
Yeah.
So, but
That's
I had a little
awesome.
girl come up to me and was like, because they got the mascot Rowdy that walks around in the dog costume, and then I've
Yeah.
got Tonka, and this little girl, she must have been like 4 or 5 years old, and she's like, Tonka's the real mascot, ain't he? And I was like, yep. And I was like, when you see Rowdy walking around, you tell him. And
Yeah.
so,
That
so
is
I
so
ran
cute.
into her later, and I was like, she's like, I told him. I was like, yes. but
That's
but
awesome.
it's
That's
a
so
lot of
cute.
fun, I get, when the game starts, they'll introduce the players, they'll go out to the third baseline as they're introducing them, and I'll take Tonka's Momar stand and put it there on the third baseline. And after they've introduced the last player, they'll be like, all right, now Tonka, I'll tell him place, and he'll run out there and sit on the Momarsh while they're
Oh.
doing the national anthem and everything. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
and
I love that.
yeah.
That's so
So,
cool.
and then,
Any like crazy stories that like he like messed up or anything, or like ran out when he shouldn't have? I mean, he's a pretty good dog.
no,
I'm sure he.
yeah, no, he's really good. It's just the one time he crapped on the field
Oh,
was
okay.
after
Yeah.
one of their wins. There's like, dude hit a home run in the bottom of the ninth, and just they won. So the teams that are rushing the field celebrating. So I'm like, oh, you can go celebrate too, Tonka. So I launched a baseball out into the infield, and Tonka goes and gets it, and as he's coming back, just drops a steamer right there in the infield. And my buddy Charlie Whitehurst was at that game, and he actually got it on video. And I'm like, oh man, it's funny. But I have learned that I will keep a thing of poop bags in my pocket,
Yep.
because I
Yep.
don't know if you saw that one video, it's circulated YouTube or whatever, where the dog craps around home plate, and that
Oh
person
yeah.
goes and just scoops it up. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, I'm not doing
Yeah.
that. Like, nope. Like, nope.
That's awesome.
But
That's
yeah.
a cool little little side gig to keep you busy, and I'm sure Tonka loves
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and
Oh
that's
yeah.
so
The only thing that's really funny too is like sometimes he'll be coming back with a bat, and the ump will roll the ball out to the pitcher's mound for at the end of an inning or whatever.
Yeah.
And Tonka dropped the bat and want to go get the ball. And I'm like, so everybody's like, oh, diversion ball, it's like,
Oh,
yeah. So,
that's
but,
so funny.
That's hilarious.
but yeah, no,
Um,
he does good.
Yeah.
that's great. To wrap up, I guess we like to um, kind of let you plug in your social media and kind of let people know, where you are and how to get a hold of you if people are ever interested in you training their dogs. So where can people find you on social media?
Country Roads Retrievers on Facebook. I post on there more than I do Instagram, but I do have an Instagram page as well. But I'm more active on the Facebook page of mine, and just located here in Richlands, North Carolina.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Well, Jeremie, really, really enjoyed talking to you.
This was
Yeah, man,
fun.
you all as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, we hope to do this again sometime, and best of luck to you. So the Grand is when?
Next weekend, right?
It starts the 16th and ends the 21st. So hopefully I'm
Okay.
there until the 21st. So,
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Good.
Best
I
of
know
luck to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck.
And yeah, we'll be looking for updates.
Yep.
We follow that a lot,
Yep.
so we'll be looking for you. And yeah, go kill it. And hopefully we can talk again and see all your success this year.
I appreciate it, man. It's nice talking to y'all.
All right, Jeremie.
Thank you.